Greetings petrolheads, my name is the Tom, you're on my gaming channel, and it's time for another episode of Automation, the car company tycoon game. So today I'm gonna build a replica that is probably long awaited, by some of you at least. And it is going to be, so we're gonna go back to 2008 I guess. It's going to be a Dodge Caliber SRT4. Now I have gotten a ton of specs from some of you guys. Thank you very much for that. It's more than I could have ever asked for. But for now we obviously have to start with the aesthetics of the car. So I'm gonna try and do my best that I can here to do this car as much justice as I can. So this is more like it. The rear end is not really extended that much outside, and in fact I'm actually gonna go a little bit further inwards like so. And the front is a little bit too rounded on this body shell, but that's fine, we can make do with that. So let's see, I got so many specs on this car that I actually need to figure out where everything is standing. So we have a chassis that is, wait a minute, I gotta, like, I'm not gonna say the name, but one of you sent me a message on Facebook that is like, if I copied that into Word, it will probably be like 4 pages long, and it's quite difficult to get an overview of that. So I'm gonna be back in just a second with the specs for the chassis. So after like 15 minutes or so of reading through all the different posts you guys sent me, I could not find anywhere that said what kind of chassis this thing has. So I'm gonna assume it's from corrosion resistant steel. Oh wait a minute, is it? Yeah, let's go for AHS steel, because it is an SRT model. It should be a little bit stiffer than usual. It is front wheel drive only, so the engine is going to be placed transversely. It does have McPherson's front and multi-link rear, I figured that out. And the panels are probably steel. And the tires it's running, give me a second. The tires are 245s, but with an offset of 40 millimeters, so we need to extend those a lot. Like, and no, let's just keep it at, because this would otherwise look absolutely ridiculous if I extended the arches even more than I already have right here. Even more ridiculous than the Caliber SRT4 intends to look. So yeah, well, let's just keep it as is, and let's move on with the design here. Of course, the best way of making the headlights is actually by taking just these ones right here. And after we're done with it, we can always adjust the size slightly later. And now that we're done, now that we already have the headlights basically, we are going to get moving with the grille. And the grille is basically this one, but it is a little bit separated or divided into different sections. And it is taller, more like this. Yeah, pretty much like this. So I think we're gonna put this down. Like so. That would be one part of this whole arrangement, I think. And then we're gonna get our preferred duct tape and get this thing. Oh wait, this needs to be just a little bit longer. There it is. And put this, actually make it long enough first and then put it down. I would say right here. See if it fits. Oh, it does not yet. Need to make it a little bit longer still. That is, it's fine now. So there's the grill. Then the badge goes onto the center of that whole arrangement. Let's see, do we have any badge that looks close to... not really. Let's just go for the regular badge here. Like that. And then we are going to put a lip down here. So that now that we put this down, you cannot see the bottom edge of this grill that we just placed down. Yeah, and then we're gonna take some vents that are basically these ones right here, turn them around and make them fit our needs. Actually, I think this is a little bit less long, more like that, and these are bigger like that. And actually no, like this and then like that. And we also have some circular fog lights in there, so that's what we're gonna do next. They go basically like here. And we have some air intakes on the bonnet. One looks basically like that. Actually, let's put this like here. I know that this looks silly with the nose here, but you know what? Let's just remove this all together and do it a different way. Let's move this further back for a second, because we are going to need the space here. Is this better? Actually, I liked it better at first, but then, you know, the weird thing on the bonnet would appear again, and we don't really want that, do we? So that is how we're gonna settle with things, I think. That is what we're gonna settle with. Actually, are these too wide or too narrow? Let's try a little bit wider, and they're gonna start overlapping each other. So let's see. That was too much. Okay, this is pretty much as good as it's gonna get. So then let's continue with this part right here. And what else does it have on the bonnet? It has how are we gonna get those vents on there? I think the thing that looks closest are probably some of these. No, actually we don't have any that is like straight on the upper end but rounded on the bottom end. Let's see. We don't have... yeah, we only have those in chrome. So therefore I think we're gonna get some more of these. You go like right there, and then that's basically the front end. So on the side we do not have side indicators right here, but we do have door handles. It's a 4-door car and they look basically like these. Good, there's not really much else on the side. Let's see if we can actually make this lip here look like the spoiler that it actually is. That does not look the way I would like it to look, but oh man. No. Okay, no. I think we're just gonna have to make do with this. Doesn't look that bad, all things considered. And on the rear end is relatively simple, except for one detail, and that is the tail lights. And those are a little bit tricky to do. So we're gonna put this down basically, and that'll be our rear diffuser. The exhaust goes, and there's only one on the right side. Exhaust goes like here. Actually, we're gonna choose the one that's in the vent section because this one doesn't have the borders. Oh yeah, we have to get 2 of those at a time. Since it's not classified as an exhaust, we cannot choose whether or not we actually want to pair them. We always have to have 2 of them at the same time. So this looks a little bit silly with the red borders, but what can I do, right? Anyway, we're gonna put down the number plate holder in the center here, because that's gonna be our point of orientation for the rest of this rear end design. Then the badge goes pretty much like here. And actually this is longer. And then the taillights. The taillights are actually quite tricky to pull off correctly, and especially with this happening. Yeah, and now we need to figure out how to do those half circular taillights and put them in there. And I think best way of doing this is to make this very narrow. Put it on like... Okay, now that whole shenanigan starts again. I'm just gonna place it somewhere where it doesn't create a hole. Please, anywhere? Anywhere I roam? Oh. That's too low down. I can't do that. If we... Excuse me? Why is this not visible? The white circular fixtures are supposed to be visible on the red rectangular ones. That's how that did it. That's how it always worked. Like, I don't know what happened in the meantime. Does this have to do with the upcoming update? I mean, would be fine if it did, just so we know that it's no longer possible, but yeah, this is normally how you create that sort of half circle, because normally how it works is that it should display, you know, this right here, this upper part of the oval light, and then the overlapping parts of those two lights should normally be apparent here. Should normally be very much visible, but they're not. And that is basically it for the rear end. So now we're gonna select this to be front wheel drive, make it orange, and then we're gonna build the engine. For the engine, it is an inline. Wait a minute, why was I at the V8 tab? It is an inline 4 engine. It is. If I could actually find where the block is aluminium, and the head is aluminium. Okay, aluminium as well, good. So let's go back here. It's aluminium. If one overhead cam or two? Yeah, two dual overhead cam. 4 volts per cylinder, aluminium. VVL I don't think. Then the bore is, I think, 88. Yeah, bore is 88 and stroke is 97. So it's gonna be a pretty large inline 4 engine, all things considered. Actually, it's not even 2.4 liters. That's not that big. The crank is micro alloy forged, so that is forged steel in my book. Then the conrods are forged H-beam. The pistons are hyperatactic, which is kind of weird, but fine. The compression ratio is 8.6 to 1. Yes, that is indeed the case. 8.6. Then the cam profile is going to be relatively aggressive, but I'm going to be a little bit conservative for now, because it is going to be turbocharged, obviously. Otherwise we wouldn't have to make this compression so low. Does it have VVT or VBL? Valve, yeah, variable valve timing. Okay. And so turbocharged. Is it a water to air? I don't know. I'm assuming it's a ball bearing, and the maximum boost is 1 bar. And the max torque is from 2000 RPM onwards. So we need to make this real small so that the turbo will kick in really early. Is this even plausible? Well, we're gonna get back here later. Is it direct injected? It should be. No, it's multi-point injected. It has. Okay, so it runs on 95 runs. It is probably a performance intake because it does make a lot of power. The throttle per cylinder, I'm not sure if it does have that. Fuel mixture, does it say that anywhere here? Not really. No, it doesn't say. Okay. So I'm gonna assume it's gonna run relatively rich, because we do need to make a lot of power out of this inline 4. We want a pretty high ignition timing so we can make the power early. The RPM limit is 6500 RPM. That diameter size I'm gonna adjust myself to, you know, make for the best possible. Well, we need a sharper cam profile apparently, and we need to lower our ignition timing. Well, one or the other. $239. Now, how much horsepower again does this thing make? Exactly, like it is okay, to 295 or 289. What the? Okay. So we need less torque, funnily enough, but a lot more power. How are we gonna get the extra power but without changing the torque figures too much? Probably by increasing the cam profile, but we need like almost 60 more horsepower, so that's quite a lot. 5700. Yeah, no, that was not the best idea here. Yeah, the engine output is gonna be way off. Like, honestly, I don't even know how to actually achieve those numbers with what I'm given. But the boost varies between how much? What is the minimum bar? 0.83, I believe. .83. Yeah. Okay. So let's remove this, or actually reduce this. Not remove it in general. But reduce it to 0.83. That's gonna make it so we can increase the compression, the cam profile, everything basically. Actually, we shouldn't increase the compression because there is a fixed number that we should have, and it's 8.6. Is it really running that rich? It is reducing reliability as it's starting to reach its RPM limit, so we probably should do something. Oh my... Not even plus 15 quality would fix that? Well... Okay, American engines. Yeah, I'm actually going... Yeah, but both the conrods and the pistons are reducing the reliability because they're revving too hard. I don't understand why you would do that to an engine. I still don't know how to get those power figures up there. Actually losing power here. And torque. So what... That is too much. What to do now? How am I gonna get this power out of this engine here? The compressor does not help me all that much. Yeah, turbine it is. But then again, it's spooling up way too late. Like, I don't know how to fix that. But we need this to be larger, because otherwise we're not gonna be able to achieve our power output that we need. Make this just a little bit sharper, so that we have a little bit more space to move. That is... Let's reduce this boost a little bit. 282. 294. Now the power comes in a little bit too late for my likings. 290. Now the turbo spools up way later than it should, but you know, I can't really do much about that, because otherwise we're just gonna be really low in power. Okay, so yeah, that is basically what I'm gonna do here. Reduce the compressor size a little bit, maybe. We're making too much torque, but you can never really have too much torque, can you? Let's leave it here. I think that's gonna come pretty close to what it actually makes. So the transmission is going to be a... The engine is gonna be... the transmission is gonna be a... 6-speed manual. I don't think the top speed is gonna be below 200 kilometers an hour, so well, let's actually gear it like that, and it'll probably reach 100 kilometers an hour in third gear. Does it have a diff? It should have a diff, because with that much power only to the front wheels, it really should have a differential. I can't see what kind of diff. Let's just give it a viscous LSD, because this is getting laborious. It does probably come on sports tires. It does have two 45s front and rear, and 18-inch rims. Tires are 245 45 R18. Yeah, well, we don't have enough tire in on this thing to make it realistic, but well, shit happens. So the discs are the brakes are 340 millimeters in the front and 300 in the rear. Actually 302, but 300 is the closest we can get. But what kind of brakes are they? There's that. Front brake discs ventilated and dual pistons. Okay. With 340, and then the rear we have 302 and single piston. Is that ventilated? Yeah, apparently. Okay, so let's give this thing ventilated discs with 300 millimeters of diameter here. Then does it have cladding? I am assuming that it at least has semi-clad, if not fully clad on the tray. Can't find that here, so let's give it fully clad, even if that may be a little bit overkill. But let's not mess around with the wing angles. So we're gonna give this thing a little bit of brake airflow, and it does have 5 seats, probably standard interior and CD. Actually, it does have pretty good entertainment features. ABS, probably traction and stability control if I had to guess. Advanced safety probably, because it does have very complicated airbag systems and whatnot. And the springs and dampers, this is what we still need to work on. So the springs are stock, whatever that means. Dampers stock. twin tube. And then the sway bars track kit, whatever that means. Oh, twin tube, I said. And then that has a sway bars. Front springs 90 newton meters per millimeters. 90 newtons, excuse me, not per millimeter. So I don't know what that corresponds to here. I'm just gonna give it a sport setup and not use that much more time. Okay, so this is a 2008 Dodge Caliber. It is the SRT4. I don't know what the name of that engine is. Dodge i4 turbo, and that is going to be the 2.4 liter. How much horsepower? 291 horsepower. This is, I think, I think the actual car is lighter than 1565 kilos, isn't it? Curb weight 1447, yeah. So probably the panels are made from something other than steel. Polymer? Maybe? Oh, that makes it way too light though. That alone saved more than 200 kilograms, or almost 200 kilograms. Damn. Aluminium? 1423, so that's closer. I don't think they used aluminium though. What if we go for... no, fiberglass is very outdated at this point. Let's just leave it with aluminium and see what it does. They say the 0 to 100 kilometers an hour time is in the low 6-second range. Whatever that actually means. Is it like 6.1, 6.2, or is it more like 5.8, 5.9? So, well, 6.2 is in the low 6-second range as far as I'm concerned. Quarter mile is... where is that? Where did they say that? Okay, so they did not say it at all, but I think if we run it down the quarter mile, it should do quite well. Yeah, under 14 seconds, so that's quite good. Yeah, I think I'm content with this replica, especially with the aesthetics. It looks really close to the original. If you guys enjoyed the episode, please click the like button, helps out a great deal. Subscribe if you want to see more in the future, but for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.